Hi guys, welcome back to Foliage Loft. My name is Liam, and this week we're going to be doing something a little bit different. So normally you probably tune in for my houseplant videos, but this week I want to share with you guys one of my other hobbies, astrophotography. So if you're someone who appreciates the beauty of the natural world, you're definitely going to want to stick around for this video. So about 10 years ago, I picked up a camera for the first time and I really fell in love with photography. I ended up going to school for photography. And that love for photography has evolved over time into a love of videography as well, and that's where the idea of Foliage Loft, my YouTube channel, first started. But today I want to bring it all back to photography, and I want to share with you guys one of my favorite things to shoot, the night sky. And I only get to practice this a few times a year when I'm up north, away from the bright city lights, so I thought it would be a neat idea to bring you guys along on this adventure. Let's get right into it. I'm up at a cottage in the Kawarthas this week. This area is located about halfway between Toronto and Ottawa in Ontario. And one of the best things about this region are the dark skies. There's no major city for over 100 kilometers in any direction, so we're far away from any light pollution, and we can really see the beauty of the night sky that is typically hidden by bright city lights. And not only do we have clear skies, but we have an absolutely gorgeous landscape to act as our foreground. This area is carpeted by forests as far as the eye can see, and is dotted with freshwater lakes that were carved into place by glaciers thousands of years ago. Nowadays, these lakes are a playground for people looking to escape the stress of modern life, with motorboats, canoes, and other watercraft maneuvering their way through the sparkling waters. This is Chandos Lake. Originally known as Mongosogan by the native people, it has a maximum depth of 48 meters and over 56 kilometers of shoreline. It's an astonishing piece of the natural landscape and part of the Kawartha Lake's cottage country. As soon as we pulled up, I felt a deep sense of relaxation. The air is crisp and fresh, and we're surrounded by all kinds of nature and wildlife. But if I made a video of me with my feet up in the sun, I don't think it would be very interesting for you, so let's talk a little bit about night sky photography. Typically, when you take a photo during the day, the sensor records light for a very small amount of time, up to 1/1000th of a second on a bright day. When shooting the night sky, you're dealing with super dark conditions, so you really need to slow things down. The shutter can be open for multiple seconds to even minutes at a time. This gives your camera time to gather all this faint light that has traveled vast distances across space and time for it to hit that tiny sensor in your camera, which can then turn that data into an image. You really have to think about your settings for these shots, including performing a bit of math, then add in the difficulty of setting up your shot in the dark and being bombarded by mosquitoes at the same time, makes this kind of shooting a really interesting challenge. This is the first image I ever took of the Milky Way. I took this shot about 10 years ago in Algonquin Park, not too far from where I'm shooting this time. At the time, I was thrilled with this shot, as you can see the faint band of the Milky Way in the night sky. But if you continue to watch this video, I hope you'll see how I've been able to improve my images with better techniques, improved equipment, and a deeper understanding of how cameras work. I've upgraded almost all of my gear since the last time I did any astrophotography, so I pretty much spent the first night at the cottage testing out my camera settings and getting things set up. The first night of our trip rewarded me with really beautiful clear skies, with only one downside, a bright half moon that was only going to grow brighter as the week wore on. To make it even more difficult, the moon would be in the sky for the majority of the night, and it wouldn't set below the horizon until about 2 a.m. The bright light of a full moon has the effect of washing out a lot of the dimmer stars in the sky, so while you can still capture some really pretty images, it's impossible to capture the full majesty of the Milky Way, and only the brightest stars in the sky would be visible. It was my first time using a star tracker, which is a small piece of equipment that has a motor in it, and it rotates at the same speed as the rotation of the Earth. So normally when you take a long exposure, after about 20 or 30 seconds, the stars will start to trail in your image. But when you use a star tracker, your camera will move along at the same speed as the stars, allowing you to keep your sensor open for much longer, even minutes at a time. The only trick is that you must align the star tracker with the North Star, Polaris, using an extremely powerful laser. This definitely took some practice, with a lot of trial and error involved. And this technique with the star tracker allows your camera to gather more light, bringing out even more detail in the night sky, showing stars that are impossible to see with the naked eye. By the end of the first night, I was feeling more confident in using the tracker, and was looking forward to my next opportunity. In the following nights, the plan was to leave the cottage and find somewhere where I could find an even better view of the Milky Way. By Sunday, the second night, I was feeling more comfortable with all my new gear, and after taking a wonderful midday nap, I was ready to stay up late shooting throughout the night. However, I ran into problems again, this time not so much by the moon, but by a lot of cloud cover. You really need several factors to line up together for these shots to work, including the phase of the moon, the weather, and the time of the year. We were expecting a long day of rain and thunderstorms the next day, and the clouds that would bring those storms were quickly moving in. I was able to take a few time lapses, and the time lapses I'm showing here were taken over the course of several hours, but have then been sped up to show the movements of the clouds. This is a great fallback for partially cloudy nights when you know you won't be able to capture the clear skies that you would hope for, but it's not exactly what I wanted to capture here. The weather forecast was indeed accurate, and it was pouring down most of the day on Monday. This was a pretty lazy day for us at the cottage, not being able to swim or enjoy much time outside, so we hung out inside for the most part, reading, playing video games, and talking the day away. I did venture out a bit into the rain to capture some video, admiring the work that my girlfriend's grandma had put into her cottage garden, including a massive rhubarb plant, a wide variety of hostas, as well as some flowering plants like these orchids and peonies that were enjoying the warm summer rainfall. But it looked like another cloudy night was incoming, and since we were planning on leaving on Wednesday, I was quickly running out of time to get the shots that I wanted. Tuesday was our last full day at the cottage, so this was my last real chance to capture the images of the night sky that I was hoping for. But by this point, the moon was almost full in the sky, and it wouldn't set below the horizon until after 3 a.m. This only gave me a very small window to get the shots I wanted, but thankfully the clouds were set to clear up around 10 p.m., so I packed my bag and got ready to head out and explore the area, looking for that one special shot of the night sky. Hey guys, it's 1 a.m. here. It's pretty cold tonight for a summer night. It's only about 4 degrees, so I'm all bundled up. I got some snacks in the back, I got all my camera gear, and I have a tea here, so I'm all ready to shoot the stars for the rest of the night. So we're actually heading back home this morning at 10 a.m. So this is going to be my last chance to get some shots of the Milky Way before we go. It looks like the clouds have cleared up. We do have a pretty bright full moon tonight, so that's going to be a bit of a problem, but it should set in the next few hours, giving me some darkness before the sunrise happens. Now first I'm heading to Marble Rapids, pretty close by, to get some shots there, and then I'm going to go over to the local beach to get some shots of the Milky Way. So let's go. To get to Marble Rapids, I had to drive down a winding country road in the dark, and I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, it was a bit creepy. I usually don't have a hard time spending time outdoors in the dark, but on this moonlit night, it felt a little ominous. The loud, rushing sound of the water from the rapids made it so that I could barely hear my own footsteps, and this is bear country, so I was on my guard. I also didn't want to concern any local residents, although I was on a public road and perfectly within my rights to be here. I probably looked a bit suspicious walking around with a bunch of gear in the dark. So I just got a couple of shots here, and it looks quite bright because the moon was lighting up the trees, but hopefully you can see some of the stars in the sky here. I had to shine my headlamp at the rapids in order to light them up for the image. It was about 1 a.m. and it was actually very dark off camera. I snapped one last shot further up the river and decided to head back to the car to my next location. I made my way to a small beach on the northernmost tip of Chandos Lake for my last chance to capture the stars. When I arrived, the almost full moon was still very much lighting the sky, making it difficult to see the Milky Way. So I decided to set up a few time lapses to pass the time until the moon dipped below the horizon at about 3 a.m. And even though I was wearing 2 pairs of pants and 2 sweaters, I was still freezing cold. At this point, it was only about 3 degrees Celsius, and I could see my breath fogging up in the air as I breathed. I found a nice grouping of birch trees for a time-lapse, and you can see the Big Dipper falling into a gap in the trees on the right-hand side. While my time-lapses were shooting, I headed back to the car for some snacks and to read a book. Finally, the moon set, and the complete darkness I was hoping for finally arrived. I took a few minutes to get my shot set up, fiddling with the laser pointer until it shot up into the sky and aligned with Polaris. And finally, I was able to capture what I wanted, the millions of stars that make up the spiral arm of our Milky Way galaxy. I can't think of any activity that's more peaceful and awe-inspiring than sitting under a dark sky. It's incredibly humbling to look out into the cosmos and realize just how small you are in relation to the universe. I think it's sometimes easy to get caught up in the little things in life, but in moments like this, all that small stuff just seems to wash away. Then you're left with a childlike sense of wonder, thinking about where all of this came from and why we're here. and thinking, just maybe, that there could be someone, or something, staring back at our own star, the sun, somewhere on a distant planet, light years away. But as I sat there, lost in my own thoughts, I noticed the sky was beginning to brighten again, the countless stars of the Milky Way fading again as the darkness slipped away. On the other side of the sky, our own star, the sun, was making its return, and all of the other stars in the sky would soon disappear. But I was able to capture a few more shots where you can see the faint band of light where the sun would emerge. You can see in this image the brightest star in the center of the sky is actually one of our cosmic neighbors, the planet Jupiter, which has shaped many of our myths and legends. And in this shot, you can see the planet Saturn in the upper left corner, while in the foreground a light on someone's property lit up the misty water. And this is when I was rewarded with one last spectacle before my time up north was over. The rays of light from the sun fully revealed the fog rising up from the warm waters into the cold air above. I wasn't expecting this, and it really took my breath away. After capturing a few more images with my camera, I knew I had to get in one last flight with the drone to capture this, and I couldn't think of any better way to cap off my trip. I know this video was radically different from what I usually do here on the channel, but I hope you guys enjoyed watching this as much as I enjoyed filming and editing this one. I do wish I had more time to use the star tracker in the Milky Way, but I think this way I'll stay hungry and I'll want to shoot more content like this soon. So let me know down in the comments below if you enjoyed this video, and maybe I'll consider shooting another video like this before the summer is over. This is some of my favorite stuff to capture with my camera, so I'd be thrilled to make more content about the night sky. Maybe next time I could try shooting some nebula or specific constellations in the night sky, or maybe I could even time my trip so I could witness a meteor shower. Don't forget to hit that like button down below and subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed this video. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. See ya.